We're asking people to sink their hard-earned money into essentially our idea. And if they can't see us for who we are, how the hell can we expect them to have faith?
Libertarians may think it's a wet dream and all, but have you actually thought about it?
Let's not forget that Bitcoin is the engine, Matthew, and that it is up to the people to come together.
That's actually a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Gravitate to the larger point of that. Bitcoin is not useful because of speculators. Bitcoin is useful because of the products and services that people build around the community. And if people start gravitating to that fact and actually, understanding it, you'll see massive price movement in the right direction.
I don't think the Bitcoin system is what gives it the price, though. I believe in the value and the usability of it.
Now the price is rebounding, and that's because the fundamentals continue to stay strong.
Bitcoin can't work without a community. It's simple. There needs to be a social network around it, and that's what we're working on. I mean, Bitcoin can't die. That much I do agree. I believe that wholeheartedly. It will never die.
Because I believe that, I'm actually one of the people that believes that Bitcoin can help the current governments climb out of the mess that they've made for themselves. That I'm one of those people.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome Matthew and Brian for joining us on the discussion about the Bitcoin market. So before we get started, let's introduce ourselves and talk about at what price did we first join in Bitcoin. So as everyone knows, I'm Adam, and I started playing with Bitcoins when they were about 75 cents each. I bought like $25 worth, and my thinking was, well, I'm just going to put a little bit of money. If it takes off, great. If not, I don't care.
I got into Bitcoin because I was looking for a currency to use in my social network, and I was surprised by and intrigued how interesting the concept was, and it got me interested in economics and politics a bit too. And I think I'm borderline libertarian now, even though I still call them libertards.
I'm actually a newcomer to the concept. I joined in right after the big boom in July. I was watching the market for a good 2 months before I actually jumped in, and I actually bought in around $10, I should say, and it's been a pretty amazing experience.
Okay, so for the newcomers that are going to watch this video, let's start talking about, like, I'm sure they're gonna look at Bitcoin, and the first thing they're gonna see is this insane $30 spike, and then subsequent drop all the way down to $2. So why did this happen? How did this happen?
When the bubble happened, when that entire build up happened, that brought in a lot of new investors that were excited to see this new system in action, and a lot of people were making money, obviously. You bought at 75 cents, so you could, I could only imagine how much more money, other people made. So that brought in a lot of new people. And then that empty box hack happened, and all of these things, was just, one theft after another, and that just scared a lot of new people away. A lot of people withdrew accounts, and that essentially caused a panic. And I guess what you're seeing now is the true believers and the people who, always understood the system, always believed in the system.
What can we expect to see in the Bitcoin price next year? What's going to happen? You guys care to speculate on that?
What the price is not our particular focus right now. It's the usability, accessibility, exchangeability. If we make services in Bitcoin that everyone needs, if we have a new invention, let's say, we do have new inventions. I'm not going to talk about them here, but let's say we have a new invention in Bitcoin that everybody would want, and we only sell it in Bitcoin, that will create a flow towards Bitcoin, an attraction towards Bitcoin. That's the kind of stuff that we need to be focused on, not like how much can I get for this money pack, or how much can I get for this Liberty dollar. I'm not focused on that personally. I've not made the leap to being able to say this is why the price went down or up, other than just a bunch of speculators. So no, I couldn't tell you what the Bitcoin price would be this year or next year or why. Just people being people.
Okay, well, let me tweak the question then. Are there going to be better Bitcoin services, new Bitcoin services coming out next year.
Fuck yeah. A lot of the people who are involved in Bitcoin now are getting into it right now. I mean, they're really late, but actually the latecomers are more important because let's say a professional programmer for Microsoft gets involved in Bitcoin tomorrow because he's interested in it. I would be willing to bet that anything he made in his fucking free time would be better than anything our so-called major developers would be making. I mean, we don't have any professionalism in Bitcoin. That's the biggest problem. So the more time that passes, the more chance we have of making something interesting. So you should only expect the real Bitcoin services, the really cool stuff to be happening from this point on. I'm not impressed at all in the past 3 years. What happened? A bunch of speculation. Whoop-de-doo. From this point on is where we start to see what Bitcoin can actually do. This is a very exciting time. Me and the rest of the developers that I work with in the DCAO2 have all said it. 2012 is the year of Bitcoin. Last year was a joke.
Let me just cut in there. So essentially, you asked Matthew what he expects the price to be, and I think he's right. Last year was a complete joke from a development perspective. I know a lot of people in the DCAO and all over the Bitcoin community, including myself, who have given lots of their time over to producing, some of these products and services that Matthew is speaking about. And I can tell you that, if you were to look at the past 2 years, it seems like we've done more as a collective group in 1 month than the entire, Bitcoin community did in 2 years. So that's not an understatement in any way, shape, or form. That's the truth. So if we're going to go strictly by, what the community has to offer in terms of products and services, we can only expect a jump in price.
One fear that many people have, I'm sure, is a year or two ago, it was 10 cents per Bitcoin. So is there someone out there, or do you think that there's someone out there who bought like 1 million Bitcoins at 10 cents each and has been holding them ever since, so just waiting for it to rise again because of all this new development or whatever, which will bring the price up, and then he's just going to dump it? Is this a possibility?
Based off of what I've heard from reports and what I've seen the people I know do, in the past 10 years, we've had a really difficult economy, and it's getting worse, but people are scared to death about not having security for the long term. It would be very, very surprising to me to see anybody make a small fortune in Bitcoin and not cash the fuck out immediately. I don't believe that anyone who had, let's say, bought it at 10 cents and then went up to $5 wouldn't have sold right then, unless they were libertarians. And if it went from 5 to 30, I mean, we're hearing stories about people who tried to negotiate when it was at $30. No, I'll take 40. I think Bitcoin's worth more than that. And then when it started to go down, do you have any idea how quickly they sold off? They were scared, horrified, sweating. So there could be a couple of people in there who didn't. Well, that's speculation to say it's the right or wrong thing to do. But in my opinion, do the wrong thing and hold on to the Bitcoins, even though it was $30, for profiteering purposes, of course. If you're a true Bitcoin believer, though, you would never sell your Bitcoins. You would just use them, and that could be considered the same thing, of course.
I never sell them. Absolutely.
See, I never buy them, so I just earn them. I trade them for services and products. I don't like the idea of handing over fiat currency for something that's supposed to mean something more. It kind of bastardizes the whole thing for me.
A lot of people are saying that the government failed us by allowing the Fed to control the money printing. Can one day Bitcoin replace the Fed?
I don't see the Fed doing any good, personally. So yeah, I think Bitcoin's value in that is, yeah, if it replaces the Fed, if we have something we can use, that's great. But the social responsibility is not there with Bitcoin. So the price is never going to go up that much, regardless of how useful it is, until our society changes. And that might take 50 years. But the ironic part is, 50 years ago, we were horrified at the thought of communists being in America, right? And our society adapted with that fear. So you can't blame the government. You can't say the government is power hungry and trying to hurt us. The government was trying to do what we wanted it to do based off of other people fear mongering. Like, we're just in a delayed reaction,
That's
in
very
10
true.
years, in 20 years from now, the president of the United States might be promoting Bitcoin. We don't know. We can't say it's all bad. The system's not bad. You need government. You do. government is another word for management. How can you not have management? Have you ever seen a company succeed without any management? Have you ever seen even a village without somebody helping to lead it? Do you really think people are like robots or like little nanobots walking around? I know exactly how many centimeters away my partner is. What? Nobody
Well,
knows.
I would argue that Bitcoin is that system with no regulation, nothing, and it works.
I agree. And Adam, I will tell you, Bitcoin is definitely ahead of its time, and maybe libertarianism is ahead of its time. Maybe we might see a more libertarian society in 50 years, where people start to take more personal responsibility on their own lives. I think that the biggest problem is that there is an inequality in education in today's world, and I think that is part of the reason why I myself am a democratic socialist. I believe that people need to be served their justice. I believe that education is the most important thing in life, and right now we don't have enough of it. And I think that it should be free and it should be given to anyone.
But you have to ask, what is free education? Because I didn't pay to learn about Bitcoin.
Well, I guess that's free education. It's online. You did it yourself.
But it's not free if I paid for the internet. So you can't really argue free education. I think the entire education system is a bunch of bullshit, saying like they should give it for free or should pay for this. If anybody wants to learn something, they can find a way. It just depends on passion and interest. And people are irresponsible. That's why they don't find the free education for themselves. Adam.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say the person who's most quiet is the most dangerous. So let's hear it from you. What is your feeling on it?
Feeling on what?
On our society and Bitcoin and the relation to price versus society's responsibilities, et cetera, and so forth.
Well.
Ta-da!